And I give the floor to the Minister for Commerce, Trade, Tourism and Transport, the Honourable Faiyaz Koya, to deliver his statement. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of Opposition, Members of Parliament, Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you for this opportunity to make this ministerial statement on how the ministry is working with all the relevant ministries in the private sector to reopen the Fijian economy. Mr. Speaker, sir, when we were ready to mark 1 year of being COVID contained, the second wave of the virus took its stronghold in Fiji, and since the 19th of April 2021, our world has actually been turned upside down, as we all know. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Fijian economy contracted by 15.7% in 2020, and primarily due to the halt in tourism activity after the border closures. And this economic performance was better than the earlier projected decline of 20%. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are dealing with low consumption and business activity and unemployment, which has been exacerbated by the second wave of the pandemic. But Mr. Speaker, sir, the Fijian government has not been sitting idle or not doing anything to commence economic recovery. Over the past year and a half, we have made crucial strategic decisions supported by budgetary initiatives. And with respect to tourism, Mr. Speaker, sir, all this actually requires careful economic planning. And we began with the COVID-safe economic recovery framework in June 2020. This particular framework set the foundation for Fiji to prepare for reopening, and we successfully implemented the blue lanes, the VIP lane, the audio-visual productions, whilst facilitating repatriation of Fijians. Mr. Speaker, sir, in terms of numbers, we have to date facilitated, in terms of the blue lanes, we facilitated approximately $6.5 million and 215 yachts that have been approved, and it's been the value and location has been about 6.5 million. Quarantine cruise, the number of yachts approved was 7. This is approximately $2.8 million. The significant economic value, SEV, it actually includes a luxury VIP vacation in paradise, and the number of applications approved was 6. And this was at Nomotu Island by 3, Vomo Island, Wakaya, and Royal Tavui, with a few. Film and television cast and crew, the applications approved were 3, and number of people approved were 513. And this was to do with Survivor Series 2020 and 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, these actually enabled some form of economic activity around tourism areas and formed the platform for the ministry and key stakeholders to discuss a market re-entry. Fiji's goal is to safely reopen travel and tourism, hopefully by December 2021, this is actually predicated at national vaccination rates. And our preparation is largely attributed to how we have come together with a shared vision to ramp up coordination. With the support of industry partners such as Fiji Airways, such as Tourism Fiji, the Society of Fiji Travel Associates, SOFTA, Fiji Hotel and Tourism Association, and technical expertise of International Air Transport Association, IATA, and the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, and International Finance Corporation, IFC, we've actually developed a reopening framework. This travel proposition has 2 goals, Mr. Speaker. So one is to actually minimize the risks and keep both tourists and Fijians safe. And the second is to ease restrictions to maintain competitiveness. Mr. Speaker, sir, the framework will essentially look at national and individual factors that determine eligibility to travel to Fiji. National factors will largely focus on acceptable test positivity and vaccination rates, as well as any new variant of concern. And of course, on an individual level, we will look at vaccination status. But before we get there, Mr. Speaker, so there are a number of checks and balances that are needed. Mr. Speaker, sir, the COVID-19 Risk Mitigation Task Force, commonly known as CRMT, which comprises the Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Health and Medical Services, and the Ministry of Commerce, Trade and Tourism and Transport, is working behind the scenes to set the conditions for international travel. We are exploring all options and refining our criteria to determine low, moderate, and high risk countries, which is commonly known as the traffic light system, given the evolving nature of COVID-19 and its variants. Simultaneously, Mr. Speaker, sir, we are working closely with the Market Development Facility, Tourism Fiji, and FHTA to keep tabs on visitor sentiments in our key markets. In other words, undertaking comprehensive market surveys in order to strategize our re-entry. We are pleased to share that Fiji is still at the top of most people's mind as a favored leisure destination in our key markets such as Australia, New Zealand, and the United States of America and Canada. It is a clear signal that when we open our borders, there will be keen holidaymakers who are ready to travel to Fiji. Mr. Speaker, so I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Australian government and the MDF for their partnership in establishing a live dashboard. This can be accessed by relevant stakeholders in the public and private sector to get the real-time data for decision and policy making. Mr. Speaker, sir, the tourism industry has received its 2021-2022 national budget positively and are confident that it provides a solid foundation for reopening. The majority of operators are reporting 100% vaccination status and putting in policies to ensure their suppliers and contractors are fully vaccinated as well. Fiji Airways, our national airline, has launched the Travel Ready program and are ready to fly. They've also been awarded the Diamond certification, which is offered only to airlines that provide hospital-grade health safety measures. It is the highest standard for travel safeguards in a COVID-19 world by the Airline Passenger Experience Association, APEX, and simplifying. Mr. Speaker, sir, to ensure our businesses are ready to receive tourists, we have our COVID-safe ambassadors visiting businesses and creating awareness on COVID-safe business operations. We are future-proofing our businesses and giving confidence to visitors that they will be safe in Fiji. We're also working on a travel portal, and through this portal, we will offer visitors a seamless application process to enter the country. This will be a secured and a user-friendly portal similar to that of many other tourism destinations. Mr. Speaker, so last year, Tourism Fiji embarked on the Care Fiji commitment, Fiji's destination-wide assurance to the health and safety of visitors. The CFC is a critical instrument in building trust, ensuring that businesses are ready to welcome visitors back in line with health and safety standards. The foundation built over the last year will now be enhanced to have in place certification of tourism operators to be compliant with safety protocols. The CFC will also include vaccination modules, which certifies CFC-approved operators where the entire team is fully vaccinated. This will go a long way when we welcome back visitors. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are two things we need to keep in mind. We need to reach our national vaccination targets, and we need to maintain a culture of COVID-safe practice in order to be in a position to welcome back visitors. According to the Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. Fong, vaccine and COVID-safe precautions act as a multiple dead end or roadblock for the virus and reduces its spread. And it's such an important statement, sir. Everybody needs to listen to that. If enough people are vaccinated and take precautions to reduce exposure, even the spread of Delta will hit a dead end. That's what we need to aim for, Mr. Speaker, sir, because we'll never achieve 100% vaccination, even after kids above the age of 12 years, for argument's sake, are vaccinated. With respect to our MSMEs, Mr. Speaker, sir, amongst the most vulnerable are MSMEs. At the same time, they make up an important component of our GDP. Pre-COVID, MSMEs represented 18% of the Fijian GDP and 60% of Fiji's national labor force. Since 2007, we've invested more than $100 million in MSMEs through the ministry and through the ministry's initiatives alone. The MSMEs are critical to the success of our economic recovery, and they are the bedrock of any economy. And recovery isn't really recovery until it's inclusive. The government has set the policy direction announced in the national budget that is fit for purpose. Our policies are based on research, scientific evidence, and facts. It's not plucked from thin air. Consultations, and I repeat, consultations with financial bodies, transport industry, BPO, IT, and tourism sectors, and retailers and MSME representatives were also undertaken in developing policies and initiatives, and this covers everybody across the board, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, data from an MCTTT-led survey on the second wave of the pandemic of more than 2,200 MSMEs revealed that 74% have either closed temporarily, permanently, or operated on reduced hours. 77% have suffered more than 50% decline in revenue, and 90% were not able to diversify services. These are the realities we are aware of and not shying away from, Mr. Speaker, sir. We're pleased that our 2021-22 budget continues to support the grassroots programs, such as our YES scheme, the Northern Development Program, the IHRDP, and the National Export Strategy. Most of these programs have been activated. We can expect expressions of interest for the NES and IHRDP to be called later this month. MSME's assistance doesn't end there, sir. We're excited also about the $200 million financial package rolled out by the Reserve Bank of Fiji and commercial banks, a much needed lifeline to businesses, as announced by the Honourable Minister for Economy and the Reserve Bank. By guaranteeing loans between 80 to 90% for MSMEs and paying interest for 2 years, we are freeing up their minds to think bigger and better, and we're asking the banks to play ball, sir. We understand that the Fiji Development Bank has leapfrogged other banks and financial institutions in rolling out this initiative by paying out more than $2 million to over 550 businesses. We strongly encourage other banks to come on board and play their part to collaborate in implementing this scheme. We call on the banks and financial institutions to consider easing the requirements for MSMEs to be able to access this wonderful scheme, thereby decreasing the mortality rate of our MSMEs to this pandemic. As with the tourism sector, sir, we want at a bare minimum a core of our industries to survive the pandemic in any form of recovery is being contemplated. With respect to our transport sector, sir, we acknowledge that transport is cross-cutting to all sectors of the economy, and the budget provides more than 20 transport initiatives in critical sectors of the economy. Some examples include the social welfare assistance on bus fare support for elderly and disabled persons, which will continue with monthly top-up of $10 and a funding allocation of $5 million, allocation of $17 million for transportation assistance for more than 100,000 primary and secondary school students from low-income households in education. Mr. Speaker, sir, speaking about vaccines and leaving no Fijian behind, the transport sector plays a critical role in delivering vaccines to our maritime islands. Through the government franchise services, vaccines were delivered to Lomaiviti. Mr. Speaker, sir, given our geographical dispersion, inter-island sea transportation is essential by livelihood, by trade and commerce. And although this pandemic has impacted trade, it has not stopped the maritime and shipping sector from ensuring that cargo is moved to and from our maritime islands. More than 600,000 tons of cargo has been moved for the economical routes, and these include cargo traded from routes like from Natovi to Nambualu and return, Suva to Savsavu, Suva to Kandavu and return, and this is less than the cargo transported in previous years, but this is to be expected due to the indirect impact of the pandemic. As for the movement of cargo in uneconomical routes, more than 900 tons have been moved, and these are all cargoes traded under the government shipping franchise scheme, sir. The Ministry of Health, Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development, maritime agencies such as Fiji Navy, the Water Police, Fiji Ports, Itoke Affairs, in working together with all vessel operators to ensure that the work continues in terms of cargo being transported and also with respect to emergency medical cases. And I commend them, sir, for all the assistance that they've rendered us in trying to keep the maritime areas free of COVID and also the north, sir. And they're very strict with respect to their protocols. The exemption of foreign cargo ships also from acquiring coastal permits, etc., for faster movement. We all know that was mentioned in the budget. That again, sir, the sea route licenses are vetted and cleared in a timely manner by MSAF. Mr. Speaker, sir, to provide safe, efficient, reliable, affordable shipping, the government shipping services is actually given budget for maintenance and operations of these 12 vessels. Mr. Speaker, so the GSS has been at the front line of the second wave of this pandemic, and particularly with respect to assistance to the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. The MV Vueveti has been designated FEMAT hospital, provided medical services, particularly for for non-COVID patients and emergency surgeries. Mr. Speaker, sir, as announced in the budget, also with respect to transport, if your vehicle registration had expired from July 2016, the amnesty of waiver of arrears of registration will be applicable for any renewals this financial year. The amnesty of waiver is extended to the following, and that is registration fees, ACCF fees, and road levy. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition to these waivers and amnesties, the LTA has started to implement the 50% waiver of interest on all traffic infringement notices. And I urge those who are yet to clear their fines to please come forward and do so. Mr. Speaker, sir, you'd recall that the Fijian government on the 19th of April announced relief for license, permit, and certificate and registration holders. And this allowed flexibility for Fijians to undertake the relevant renewals at their ease of convenience. Today, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm very happy and pleased to announce that we are announcing an extension of the period of renewal, which was set to expire tomorrow, which is the 19th of August. As we speak, the Solicitor General's office is gazetting the particular issue, sir. We will now be extending it to the 19th of October 2021. This extension applies to permits, licenses, and certificates or registrations. So, but vehicle owners, Honourable Speaker, sir, are urged not to actually wait till the 19th of October, but to renew the registration of vehicles as soon as they practicably can. This is in answer to the general public letting us know, etc., sir, and also in order to facilitate. So the extension now is from the 19th of August to the 19th of October 2021. That will give some relief to a lot of people. But again, sir, word of warning, please ensure that you get it done within the period instead of all turning up to the LTA on the 19th of October. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, all our efforts towards recovery of reopening are dependent on at least 500,000 Fijians being fully vaccinated, sir. That is not a statement that I make lightly, sir. We need to get back to work. We need to make our country feel good again. We need to ensure that 500,000 or so Fijians have been fully vaccinated. There's no use pouring scorn on all of this, sir. It is a combined whole of country effort that is required from all members of parliament to go and tell everybody it is 500,000 that's needed. And it's a reduction in test positivities also that's needed. Changing the way business is conducted. And this is all about future-proofing our businesses. We need to achieve the target to put us on a better footing for economic recovery, which is something that every citizen in this country wants. Every member of parliament wants. To give our citizens the ability to earn a livelihood again, as they did before, as they did successfully before. We will be able to achieve much more, sir. We are a very resilient people. We are strong. Our history tells us how resilient we are. With the opportunities and new and existing industries also emerging from the adversity of this pandemic, sir. So I urge everybody, please bear that in mind. Please get vaccinated. Forget about the nonsense. Mr. Speaker, sir, I thank you very much for giving me the floor.